It's on here twice. That's weird. Hey, Elizabeth, we're waiting here a second. I'm getting things up and let's see. They're having trouble with 702. Let me see if anyone. No, now. Yeah, see, Kayla posted hers up, but they weren't showing the images either. There's 70. Okay, here's 702.
Yeah, that's what mine was doing. It had 702 up, but it wasn't showing the image. It had the image there. It showed it was there, but it didn't show the picture.
Okay, so let me get the book up here. Just a second. Spring 20 new books. Okay, here we go.
Oh.
You see what you did?
You gotta put object before image. The ending of the object.
Okay, let's see here.
The object.
What number is that you're doing? 702, so not 4. 6. Yeah, see here, if you read this section, it shows you adding SVG images. And so, view box 03. That's all you had to do?
Yeah, let's see if it shows the image.
Okay, so this is 702 says, delete the entire image element. Be careful not to delete the surrounding markup. Paste the SVG text in its place. Delete the entire image element. Okay, so that was out of 7 points. Save the file and open the image in the browser. You should see the SVG logo in place. Did your logo show up when you did the SVG part it tells you to do? Because here's 7-2. I'm not seeing where it tells you to put the object. I don't know where you're doing that from. Open blackgoosebistro.html in a text editor. It should look like we left in chapter 4. You got it to work?
Yeah, but it won't pop up the image.
Well, I think that I'm not sure where you're getting all of that object thing. Let me see. Okay, so go here, 7. So if I open with,
yeah, it pops up the actual icon this time. It just won't show it.
please visit our social media pages. Okay, this one isn't either because I didn't put the whole, oh, there's somebody there in the chat. Hold on. Oh, you don't hear anything, Kayla? Okay, let's see. See if my volume's at. I'm not, now I'm talking. Can you hear me now? No, she can't. Let me see. Why is my volume? Sometimes they have this hooked to these speakers, and that may be part why. I don't know. Can you hear now? Let's see if I unhook. Let me see where these are hooked at. This one. think it's this one or this one. I don't know. Let me see. Oh, you can hear now. Okay, great. All right. So this is the one that's the finished one, but the social media is not. Okay, let me do this. Okay, let's see here. Okay, the only ones that aren't, these are the ones. Okay, let me see why this one. Okay, let me find out where this broken image is. Okay, icons. Okay, so this one is, let me make sure that I've got the right one open here. Okay, this is the way it is, Shy, whenever you open it up before there's anything done to it. And so if we go through it, this is 7.2. Oh, yeah, that might help, huh? I guess that tells me nobody was watching, huh? Well, I'll get the screen on. Let's see. Okay. Okay, this one, I know we can go through what it says in the book to add a little at a time, but I don't see where in those exercises that it told you to add an object and type, Shy. I'm not sure where you're seeing that because it's not in. Let me go across here just a second. Where did my book go? I had it open. Where'd it go? Okay, here's this one. Okay, so this is exercise 7-2. Is this what you did right here?
Yep.
Okay, well, where does it say to put an object in? I don't see it telling you to do that. It says the exercise has two parts. First, we'll replace the logo with an SVG version. And then, let me go back up here where it says that. And second, we'll add a row of social media icons at the bottom of the page. Okay, so we're going to open that file, which I already did it. And I noticed, Kayla, in yours that you turned in, your images weren't showing up.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure because it told me to do something to where like it brought it on Internet Explorer, the logo, and that's what I typed in was like the internet, the other one that it told us to like download, and I put it
And it didn't work.
bring it up.
Okay, Brianna, did yours all work right? Or did you do it yet? It's 7-2. This is just for fun. Let's see what happens when you make the current PNG logo really large. So you're supposed to add width 500, height 500 to the image tag, and save the file and open it in the browser to see how blurry bitmapped images get when you size them larger. So let's replace it with, and we're not going to do that part. Let's replace it with an SVG version of the same logo by using the inline SVG method. In the SVG folder, you will find a file called Black Goose Logo. Open it in your text editor and copy all of the text from SVG to SVG. Okay, so.
Yeah, that I did that and then it never showed up.
Okay, so I'm going to find out why. See, this is whenever you get finished, this is what your page should look like. So go and delete the entire image element. Be careful not to delete. Paste the SVG text in its place. Two circles, a gradient definition, and two paths. Next, set the size of the SVG should appear on the page. In the opening SVG tag, add width and height attributes set to 200 pixels each. Okay. So let me go where it's open here. Okay, so I want to change. It's already done up here for me. This is a style. I didn't think it had you. Was that style sheet already in there? Let me look. Yeah, it's already in there. So I don't know why because we haven't done anything with styles yet. Okay, this is what we have to change is this image element. And so we need to change it in the H1 to be like this. So I'm going to change it to be that. It actually is going to have all of this in it. Radial, gradient, something. But I don't know why this line is red actually. Okay, so this one I'm going to do a quick, oh, it's not going to let me copy it. Wait a minute. Ooh, he's so loud. Okay, so I'm going to take Command V and put that in there. Ooh, that did not do right. Okay, that's because I didn't take this part out. Okay, so what it tells me to do, let's see if I can get it where it's refreshed right. Now that's not going to be right. SVG width and cross link. So where did it tell you to get that text from? That's what I'm not, hold on.
I'm not even seeing what you're
ever
doing.
find.
My internet connection apparently is slow. All I see is
What?
I can't see anything that you're doing.
You can't see anything?
Like it's been staying on Black Goose Bristow.html, the second one. It's been staying on that the entire time.
It's not switching back and forth in the Zoom?
It did tell me that I was having a slow internet connection.
Oh, that's probably it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you may have to watch the video then
Okay.
afterwards. We'll see if we can get it to work here. I'm trying to find out. Okay, there it is. Okay, so up here, it tells me first, replace the logos. So it should look just like we left in chapter 4, just for fun. Let's replace it with the SVG version of the same logo by using the inline SVG method in the SVG. You will find a file called text editor. Oh, I see what it's saying to do. Okay, so did you do it this way? Shy, here's what it says to do is take this, open it so we open this up and it says to copy all of this. Is that what you did?
Like the black boots on TV.
Yeah. And you copy all of this over into your HTML. So right here does it go? Wait a minute. Let me see where it goes to.
Yeah, I'll just have to watch the video because it's still.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Command B. Okay, now let me make sure that it did it all. Now, what I need to make sure is that it's supposed to be inside the H1. Okay, no, I did that wrong. Okay, let me go back to here. It should have left the, okay, so I just want to copy it inside the H1, but I want to leave that. Now let me make sure that's correct. SVG, BR, yeah, I think that's right, okay. SVG, BR, but okay, so now you see what's happened. It took all that out. Did yours do that? To where it's Black Goose Bistro only. Oh, Lainey, she was having, Kayla was in here and she was having trouble with the video going in and out. So we're working on 7-2 is what we're working on. And we're gonna have to get on to 8 too. So I'm gonna try to get this working. All right, so next it tells us to copy all the text, open it in your, and copy all the text from SVG to /SVG. But it looks like it should have put entire image element. Be careful not to delete the surrounding markup. Paste the SVG text in its place. You will see that the SVG contains 2 circles, a gradient definition, and 2 paths, one for the starburst shape and one for the goose. Next, set the size. So now it should appear on the page. In the opening SVG tag, add width and height attributes set to 200 pixels each. Okay, I might have already done that. Let me see. Oh, no, I did not. Okay, so right up here, this has to go. Let me go up here and see for sure where it goes. Width, it's right after the SVG. Okay, width. So right here, I'm going to say width equals 200 pixels. And then I will say, I think it's just one right after the other, isn't it? 200 pixels, yeah, and height equals, okay. And then right after that, I leave one space and height equals 200 pixels, space, okay. I believe that's right. Now let's refresh, see if that's still not doing anything yet. I don't know if it's supposed to be showing up yet. Save the file and open the page in the browser. You should see the SVG logo in place, looking a lot like the old one. Okay, so let's see. If I do a save, let me do File, Save, open it in the browser. This is kind of slow, this computer. There it is. So you see, did yours not do that?
Well, mine was having problems when I got to the
So, okay, but did you get this to work with the SVG? Where the logo's up here?
It showed that they were there, but it wouldn't like actually show the picture.
Well, you have to go to device preview now. Down here, you have to show it in the browser. It's not showing up here, but it shows when you go to the browser. Might show in live view. I don't, yeah, see, it shows if I go up here in Dreamweaver and do live view. Now, you have to copy exactly what was in there. Right there, you have to put this in the high. So you follow the instructions exactly. Where you Okay, so you had to put the width and height. Did you get yours to work? Okay, so if you do it just like it says, okay, where are you at? So you've got to put width right before the X and L and S and height. Okay, well, go back to 7-2 if you're in 7-3. That's part of your problem.
No, I'm a 7 I was a 7-2.
Well, anyway, what you have to do, we'll go down to this bottom part now, and then I'll have to go back and look at yours because we got to get to 8-2 tonight. So, because this was the other assignment. So let's go down to this other part and see if you can get it to come up, the social media icons, and then we'll go back and fix that. Okay, so next it tells us to try seeing what happens when you make the SVG logo really big. No, we're not going to mess with that. Okay, so now we're going to add the icons. So next we're going to create a footer at the bottom of the page for social media icons. Below the location and hours section, add the following. The empty paragraph is where we'll add the logos. So on this one, there should be where it's going to let you do this. I don't know if it will. See, it may not let me do it that way, but I'm going to try. Okay. So now I'm going to go down where the end, after it says location and hours, and I'm going to put in a footer right before the end of the body. Should be right before the end of the body. Let me make sure. Yeah, the footer goes right after the paragraph here. So I'm going to put footer, please visit our social media pages. And then I have to have a cancel footer. So that's going to be my footer, but I think I also need an empty paragraph here, it said. So we're going to put the actual icons in right there. Please visit our social media pages. So now we're going to put in this right here, image, source, icons, blah, blah, blah. Oops. Oh, wait, I put the wrong ones in there. No, Command Z. Okay, so in here, it tells me what to put next. It says use the image element to place 3 SVG icons, twitter.svg, facebook.svg, and instagram.svg. Note that they are located in the icons directory, so that's why when you use them, you have to use the path that shows that they're inside the icons folder. So we would put this statement, if it'll let me copy it, I think it will. Let's see. It's going to copy the P. Copy, let me see. So this one's going to go here, and it copied that extra P in there. So now it put the Twitter one, but look how big it is. That's pretty, so it's too big. I must have got the wrong image. Let's see.
No, we did that on mine. Here.
Okay, they're supposed to be that big first, and then it has us resize it, right? Oh yeah, it has us do that on the style. Okay, so we need to do that for, I need to do 2 more like that. So right here, I'm gonna have to put another image source, but this one is gonna have the Instagram and the Facebook one. So this one would say Instagram. And then I've got to have 1 more. Oh, but I don't want it in a new paragraph. They should be across from each other. Okay, then 1 more, Command V. This one will be the Facebook. Does it say Facebook spelled out? Let's see. Yes. So this one is going to be Facebook spelled out. Now, what's going to size them is the style up in the top of the document. Up here at the top, we have a body, H1, H2. So it tells us in our instructions that they want us to do the style header, put a footer style up there. So that's what we're going to do. You can actually just copy that instead of having to type the whole thing. So you have to be sure that it's right inside the style. Footer. So there they are. Now they're all fixed. You see? Did everybody do that? Okay. So the deal is with these SVGs, it was important that you understand why you use those. And it talked about it right above here, that the purpose of doing that is because of responsive image markup. So what does responsive mean? Did y'all read that in the chapter before you tried to do it? Responsive, remember, is where that, depending upon what size of device you're on, it's going to adjust. And so that's the purpose of learning how to do these images with an SVG tag versus an IMG tag. So now we have ours looking just like this. And so you're gonna have to do this, the 7-3, instead of working on it right now, I want to be sure that you understand what you're doing, because here it tells you responsive image markup pretty quickly after smartphones, tablets, phablets, and other devices hit the scene. It became clear that large images that look great on a large screen were overkill on smaller screens. All that image data downloaded and wasted. Forcing huge images onto small devices slows down page display and may cost real money too, depending on the user's data plan and your server cost. Conversely, small images that download quickly may be blurry on large, high-resolution screens, just as we need a way to make whole web pages respond and adapt to various screen sizes. We need a way to make images on those page responsive as well. Okay, so there's how it works, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so be sure you're reading this and you understand it, because then there's some test yourself that I didn't have you all do this time. And so something that I want to go over, be sure you're listening or you're going to watch the video. I know there's only about 3 of y'all in here. I don't know. Zachary. Oh, and Brianna left. No, Brianna's there. Okay, so this is week 6.
I'm here.
So that means that we're going to have midterm at the Tuesday night before spring break. So that will be, but you won't have to actually come into class, but there will be a test on that Tuesday night. Let me get the calendar up here. Oh, there it is. So that you can see what's happening. Okay, tonight's the 25th. This is week 6, and I'm trying to assign chapter 8 and 9 for next week. And then the 3rd, let's see, we'll do 10, and we'll go over anything in 8 and 9. And 10 is the last chapter in part 2, which is all about the HTML. So I don't know why oh, I know how to make it. So in March, on the 3rd, will be any questions that you have about what the test will be like. And then on the 10th is the last Tuesday night before spring break. And so we'll take a midterm then, and that will just cover the HTML, and there may be some questions too concerning the Don't Make Me Think book, okay? And it would only be the questions that are at the end of each chapter. There's like some questions, I think, in that Don't Make Me Think, or the discussions things. I'll go over some of that. So on the 3rd, you either will want to watch the video or you'll want to be here, because that's where I'm going to go over what to expect on the midterm. And the midterm, that's why we won't meet on the 10th, because I will give you a midterm and it'll be posted under quizzes in Canvas. But any questions you have, you can ask on the 3rd. So your goal is to make sure you understand everything up through chapter 10 in the Learning Web Design book, and what we've done so far in the Don't Make Me Think book, okay? And then after spring break is when we're gonna be working on the CSS part 3 in that book, but also we're gonna start looking at a website and trying to rebuild it ourselves using the skills that we've learned, and it'll be a functional website when we get done, okay? So we're going to start applying all that, but okay. Lainey, did you have any questions? I saw you came on. Okay. So here's what we're going to talk about tonight in chapter 8. So if you don't get quite through with chapter 7, or you aren't sure if you understand some things, then you can email me and we can try to figure it out. But images is what chapter 7 was about, and to make sure you understand it, if you want to know if you really get it, then you should go in and do the test yourself at the end of the chapter, which I didn't require you to do that this time, but that shows, let me see, there it is, test yourself, and the answers are in Appendix A. So if there's one of them that you don't understand or you want to go back and check it, you have the answers there. So if you do these and you're not understanding how they came up with the answer that they did, then that would be things to ask in the class, okay, next time. So be sure you can do those, test yourself. All right, so any questions over what I just then talked about? Everybody kind of got the schedule down then. All right. I wanted to kind of give you a heads up for the next 3 weeks, then you know what's happening. You don't have to, but you can do the test in here. Either way you want to do it. And so, but I won't be lecturing because I'm going to have y'all do the test instead of that. Okay. All right. So tonight we need to look at chapter 8, which is table markup. Now, I can't remember, I know Brianna said she had done HTML before, and before there was such thing as responsive design or cascading style sheets, used to, in order to get HTML in the browser window, like the image where you wanted it and the text where you wanted it, you used tables to do that. But you know what a table is? Who's ever worked with a spreadsheet before? Like say in Excel. Anybody ever seen one of those? Okay, so an Excel spreadsheet is like columns of data and rows of data. And so specific data is in each, these are called the cells. Well, in semantically correct HTML markup, a table is only used in order to display tabular data. But originally, before there was CSS or any other way to specifically place data, this was the only way that they could get data in a browser window to display properly. Okay, so they had to put it in a specific cell. Well, now we only use tables for the proper thing, which is to display tabular data. And that's what this portion tells you about how to use tables, is whenever you've got data like something like this that you need to display on a web page, then you would set up a table with rows and columns. And so that's what this next part is, the markup for a table. And see, used to, you couldn't do something called flex blocks and grids, and those are in chapter 16 later whenever we do CSS layout. So we're not using that yet, but we need to know how to build just a simple table like this. We use a table tag, and then this is called table row. This is a table header. So like these are your headers of this table. And table cell data it's kind of confusing the way they use the tags. TD stands for table data. And so you don't really have a table column heading. You have a table row, and then with the intersection of the cell, the column, is called a table data. So when the cells contain either header information, titles for the columns such as calories, or data, which may be any sort of content. So simple enough, right? Now let's look at how those parts translate into elements. So here's how you style tables, but we're not going to be interested in the styling right now. We're just going to be interested in building the table. And you'll use CSS to style the tables later on in the other chapters. So we're just interested in learning how a table tag opens here and closes here. So if you're looking at this table, how many rows does it have? 3. And so then there are also 3 cells or columns in each one of the rows, right? Because one of them has the headings, and if you use a TH, then it's going to make this text bold automatically, kind of like an H1 or an H2 or an H3 in your HTML bolds it. Okay, so if you know that you've got labels, then you will need to use a TH tag, and you notice it has a cancel. Remember, all the content must go in cells. That is within TD or TH elements. You can put any content in a cell. You can put text, you can put a graphic, or you can even put another table inside one cell. Start and end table tags identify the beginning and ending, just like that might be similar to you if you were doing a list, right? When you do a list, you have a UL. You're going to have like an unordered list, starts here and ends down here, but in between you have a list item, right? And it has to cancel. So that's kind of how a table is. It has cells within each row. What'd you say? Okay, so that's kind of the same type of idea. You can also create a table without borders, but it defaults to a border and to a single border. But you can also change the borders whenever you learn how to style the table. So here's table headers, but then there is something called spanning cells. So maybe you wanted one column to be the width of 2 columns. And so you can do something that's called column spans. So right here, this one says in this header, span 2 columns. So here's what it did: saturated fat, unsaturated fat, but you see the heading spanned over the top of both columns. So it's saying when it did this TH, column span equals 2, then it means take this division out, because both of these in my row are fat, right? So that's called a column span, and it's an attribute of the TH tag. Now you can also span rows, and you would do that like if this one, you wanted this whole side to be the span of 3, then it would be TH row span equals 3, and that's what would do this. See how this can even get really complicated. See how they have this one as a row span, and then they have this one as a column span. There's like a lot of different things you can do. Space in and between cells is called cell padding and cell spacing attributes. So you have the call span attribute, you have the row span attribute, you also have cell spacing and cell padding. So adding space within and between cells, but they have been kicked out of HTML5 as they are obsolete. So used to, that was the only way that we could put spacing and like move the word medium over, was to use cell padding. And now we don't do that because we use CSS to format our tables. So we don't even use cell spacing and cell padding. So if this is your first time in HTML, you don't have to worry about forgetting something, right? It's gone now in HTML5. So as a web designer, it is important that you always keep in mind how your site's content is going to be used by visitors with impaired sight. It is especially challenging to make sense of tabular material by using a screen reader, but the HTML specification provides measures to improve the experience and make your content more understandable. Now, table accessibility, the reason that's important is because if you are coding, like our websites at Rose State have to be ADA compliant. What that means is someone that is using a screen reader can read our website. And so there's certain things that you have to do to make it accessible. Okay, so the most effective way to give sight impaired users an overview of your table is to give it a title or description with the caption element. Captions display next to the table and can be used to describe the table's contents or provide hints on how it is structured. So here is where you do the table that would look like this. So this is the scope, and here's the headers. So row and column groups, you can do groups, and it shows you how to do groups here, but I don't think that you have to, like there's a T head that it talks about, and a T foot and a T body elements. And so those are ones that you use here, table head. And so that would mean all of these are the headers that are rows in the header. And then there's something called a column group, but you very seldom will use these. I won't be having you do that in a web page. We won't be doing that. but we will use row span and column span. So you need to be able to understand that. So you can work, oh, that's 8-4. Do we, wow, these have, we're already to the bottom, I guess. I didn't know it had any exercise that I passed already. I guess it did. So here's the test yourself. So you need to go through those and make sure you can either, here's what I will let you do. You can either on the assignment, which I haven't put the assignment box submit out there yet, you can either do the submit the 8-1-4 or the test yourself, just so I can see that you did chapter 8. Okay, you follow. So you can do the exercises 8-1 through 8-4, or you can do the test yourself. You don't have to put them both out there. I only need to see that you knew how to do tables. Okay. All right, so, oh, we went through that chapter pretty good, because here's forms, which is what I wanted to get to also. Forms, first, are there any questions about your assignment for 8? So there are 4 y'all here. Or the test yourself, yes. And I'll put that out there so you can see how to do it. Okay, so forms, there again, forms is something that is used to, like, whenever you go online and you fill out information, then you're using a form. It didn't take long for the web to shift from a network of pages to read to a place where you go to get things done, making purchases, booking plane tickets, signing petitions, searching a site, posting a tweet, the list goes on. Web forms are what handle all of these interactions. So when there was just HTML01, when HTML first started and the web first started, you could not interact with it. It was just an informational place where you went and did research for information. But now we do everything on the web, and so everything that is done in forms. Anytime you do a task, and that's why in the past, it's relied on JavaScript, and now HTML5 has incorporated a lot of the things that used to have to be done in JavaScript. So here's how forms work. There are 2 parts to a working form. The first part is the form that you see on the page itself that is created using HTML markup. Forms are made up of buttons, input fields, and drop-down menus, collectively known as form controls, used to collect information from the user. Forms may also contain text and other elements. Okay. Okay. So there's a form element. So here's the other element that we're learning for chapter 9 is a form element, and it opens like that with form, cancels with the form tag. So here you have to have a form action, and there has to be a PHP residing on the server that will do something with that form. So it's called an action attribute. It says, take this form and post it to this file, PHP file. PHP is an open source scripting language most commonly used with the Apache web server. It is the most popular and widely supported form processing option. Now, you don't have to learn PHP because PHP scripts already reside on most servers that will process your form. And so that's what it's talking about here. These are all the different kinds of scripting. There's PHP, there's ASP, there's Ruby on Rails, there's Java Server Pages, Python. So when you take, as a multimedia student, you take Python in fundamentals class. So it's the same type of language that is going to process your forms. So here, let me see how far they're going to have you go with this. Naming your variables. So if you haven't, how many of you have not had fundamentals yet? Shy, you haven't. Have you had it, Brittany? Fundamentals of programming logic. Have you had that yet? No. Okay, so we go over a lot of this in that class as far as variables, so you know what variables are. But you can learn it here too. And it's like he's in the room, isn't it? I need to tell him. I need to ask him if he can hear me like that. I know, those walls are terrible. I remember it's always like that if you have the same class at the same time. They're especially men's voices, I think. They're louder, deeper or something. Yeah. Okay, disabled and read only. Okay, let me see where the, like if you want to do a password to a site, this is how you use a form to do that. Okay. Trying to see what it's going to have you do. I don't see the exercises. There's exercise 1, starting the pizza order form. Okay, so let's do this one. So we're going to have to go and download the chapter 8, or we'll do as much as we have time for. So we're going to go, or this is chapter 9, I'm sorry, not chapter 8. I'm leaving chapter 8 to you because I think it's easier than this one. Okay, so we're going to open pizza.html. That's all we get out of chapter 9, I guess. So I'm going to open it with the Dreamweaver. And here's what it looks like to start with. Okay, so, oops, where's my book? Here's the scenario. You are the web designer in charge of creating an online pizza ordering form for Black Goose Bistro. The owner has handed you a sketch, which is this figure, of the form's content. There are sticky notes from the programmer with information about the script and variable names you need to use. Your challenge is to turn the sketch into a functional form. I've given you a head start by creating a bare bones document with text content and minimal markup and styles. This document, pizza.html, is available in your materials folder. The finished form is also provided. Okay, so here's a sketch of what they want the form to look like online. So we're going to open this file, pizza.html in Dreamweaver. The first thing we'll do is put everything after the intro paragraph into a form element. The programmer has left a note specifying the action and the method to use for this form. So the resulting form element should look like this. And this is realistically, you wouldn't be the programmer, but you have to be able to understand what the programmer is asking you or is giving you. So here's the first thing that we're going to put up in our form. And so I'm going to go over here to Dreamweaver. And so down here where my body starts, let's see, where does it want the, oh, this is just the information that's going to be in the form. So I'm going to go right up here at the top of my body because I want the whole thing to be a form. So I'm going to put my, oops, that wasn't it. So I'm going to go over here and put, so then it tell me to put it there, after the intro paragraph into a form element. So I need to take this and copy it. I think it'll let me. And now it says after the intro paragraph. So this is the intro paragraph. So now I'm going to go right here. And that's my form. But I also need to put my cancel form in there. Slash. Okay, so I'm put my cancel form there. So I'm going to build my form element here. And now, in this exercise, we'll work on the your information section of the form. Start with the first 5 short text entry form controls that are marked up appropriately as an unordered list. Here's the first one. You insert the other 4. So this is the first one. But I think it needs to be in a list. in an unordered list. Okay, so, oops, let me do this. So I've got to make an unordered list first. Ooh. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and where this, oh, it's already got it here. Here's my unordered list. So actually my closing form needs to be down at the bottom of my page, right before my body. I'm going to put it in. Okay, so up here in my unordered list, I have my unordered list, but then I need to make it look like the input type here is what it needs to say. So in my list item, I need to add this part, right? Okay, so I'm gonna go back over to Dreamweaver, and right after name, I need to put this in there. And so now I have to do that for my address. So I'm gonna have to say, it should have told me on that sticky note that he gave what each one of the names says. This form looks like this. Name the text fields: customer name, address, telephone, email, and instructions. So that's what my names in my list items have to be called, because that's what he's going to be looking for. So you notice here he said input type equals text. So since you're using the word input, you guys that Zachary and Brianna that have had fundamentals, what does that tell you, the word input? What does it do when you actually see this? Look over here in the live view. Go ahead, Brianna. Yeah, so it's going to allow you to type your name in there. That's why you see a box that says input. That's what this HTML code did. It says you're going to have an input field of the type text, and whatever the user puts in there is going to send it to the programmer as customer name. So then they said to do the same thing with address, only so here instead of customer name, I'm going to type address, right? Then it says for telephone number, what's the name of that field? What did the sticky note say? At telephone. Okay, so I'm going to call this one telephone. And this one is probably just email. I think that's what it said. So I'm cheating because I'm just copying and pasting, right? So I don't have to type all of that every time. And then this one is called instructions. Okay, so now, next thing. Yours doesn't look like that?
Yeah, when I typed it in, it changed everything that was in.
Can you see Zachary what he's doing?
I typed in what you said. It turned it into this.
Yeah, just turned it into.
It turned it into
Yeah, okay, go over here and do live. But that's how it's, okay, let me see.
That's it.
Oh, that's because you put fields set up there. I haven't done it yet. And legends, you're further along. Or did you go to finished exercises? Do you have the finished exercises?
no, I don't have any. Typed in what you said and it changed it all into this.
Well, it could, you had to, no, you had the wrong one.
No, I just opened the.
Yours is already fixed. That's what I'm saying. You've already got everything done. That's why I'm saying you
I was
opened the wrong
typing
one.
because I was typing.
That said fine.
Yeah,
Did you
it said
see
fine.
that? See that? That's, you already opened the, no, that's not the one.
Yeah, you opened
Okay, am I opening the other one?
You opened the fine.
Well, I did type in what you said. and it just-
But that's because you typed it into one that was already complete. Okay? So you can go back and do what we're doing, or you can open the finished one.
Because this won't take long, because that's what happened. You opened the one in the finished file instead of the other one. Okay. Okay, so next it tells us, after we get that put in, all those types in the unordered list. Okay, after delivery instructions, we're going to add a line break and a multi-line text area. Because we aren't writing a style sheet for this form, we're going to use markup to make it 4 rows long and 60 characters wide. In the real world, CSS is preferable because it gives you more fine-tuned control. But because we don't know CSS yet, they're saying we're going to put this in after the instructions instead of the way it was, because we want to be able to give them multi-line input. Because if we look right now at the way instructions is, look, it's just got a one single line place. Well, delivery instructions need to give them multi-line. So that means we need to change this one to a text area element instead of a type. So now if I refresh it, you see how it's longer now. All right, so let's see what else it tells us next. We'll skip the rest of the form for now until we get a few more controls under our belt, but we can add the submit and reset buttons at the end just before the form tag. Note that they've asked us to change the text on the submit button. So we're going to put this at the end. So I'm going to go at the very end where my cancel form button is, and right below it, I'm going to add this, which is the submit button. So it says input type equals submit, bring me a pizza. So if I refresh and I go down here, you see the button, it says bring me a pizza, but for some reason it didn't put a space in there. And then reset button will wipe out whatever's been typed up in the form. I don't know why there's not a space there. It should be. There we go. Okay, so now if I refresh it, now I can see that would do that. Okay, so next I'm going to go down and they're going to talk about radio and checkbox buttons, because in the final one, you've got to have, remember the difference in radio buttons and checkbox? Radio buttons only let you select one. If you pick one and change your mind, then it takes away the previous one. But a checkbox, you can check all of them or one of them or two of them, okay? So that's the difference in radio. Here it's showing you, here's a radio button. These are checkbox buttons. So we're going to go down 9-2 and add radio buttons and checkboxes. So in the Design Your Dream Pizza section, there are a list of crust and topping options. The crust option should be radio buttons because pizzas have only one crust. So we'll insert a radio button before each option. Follow this example for the remaining crust options. So here we're going to, oops, here I'm going to put this in. Oh, it's not letting me select this time. There we go. Copy. Okay, so this one, I'm going to go back over to the Dreamweaver. I'm going to go to the crust types, Design Your Dream Pizza, crust, and I think this one goes right here. Let me make sure I'm going to put that in the right spot. Yeah. Okay, it goes right before the classic white words. So I'm going to put it in right here. And that tells me it's input type. That didn't do right. Something isn't right. Let me see. I probably, oh, yeah, I left off a bracket right here. There we go. Now it should be right. Let's see. Yeah, see, it put a radio button by Classic White. So now I need to go down and do that on every one. Only this one, instead of value white, it should say, let's look at my sticky note again. And he should have told us on that sticky note form, toppings and number. Oh, let's see, where's it? These should have names. Note that the brackets after toppings are required in order for the script. Name the controls in this section: crust, toppings, and number. Well, these must be just supposed to be the name because it doesn't tell us on there. So here, instead of white, the value should be multi-grain, I'm assuming. Classic white. Is that right? Let's see, classic white. I'm thinking multi-grain. Multi-grain, because he didn't really tell us. Cheese stuffed crust. And so this one must be, I guess, cheese stuffed. I guess that'll work. The last one is gluten-free. Okay, so now what's the next part it says to do? We got about 5 minutes left. Okay, radio buttons we did, check boxes we did. Next is menu. So on the menu, we've got to use options. See this, how they've got option tags? So let's go down. And we also have a file selection in exercise 9-3. We're going to use that. Hidden controls, date and time. Oh, it's given us a bunch at one time. So we may not get all this part done. So down here, where is that? Labels. Here's, see the field set and legend that you saw in the final one. That's what made these boxes shy. See, was the field set and legend. Oh, did I skip 9-3? Somehow I skipped 9-3. How did I get? It doesn't really show us. Said here, the great form shown in figure 9-2. No, because that one already has the variables. Oh, wait, that is.
Miss Wilson,
Yes.
you're editing the document, right? Because on my screen, it doesn't really show you editing anything.
Yes, I am. So I don't know, she was having trouble seeing that too, but it should show up in the video. Because yeah, we're looking at the book and then we edit the document.
Okay, so you're doing chapter 7
No,
dash
we
2?
already did chapter 7, and then we talked about chapter 8, but I didn't do the exercises. That's the one that I told you can either do the exercises, 8:1 through 8:4, or you'll be able to do the test yourself. And then 9, we're doing, but we're going to run out of time. I was trying to find the 9-3 because I skipped it somehow. So there's actually in this one, how many parts are there?
I guess.
9-3. Oh, there's not a 9-3? Huh. There's text area. Okay. So anyway, you have to finish chapter 9 and you'll have the same option. You can either do what we're doing here and finish all the exercises, or you can just do the test yourself at the end. Oh, there's 9-1, what we did. Okay. Oh, I was way up there.
So I can just do the
9-2 in class, so you'll be able to see how to do 9-1 and 9-2. But I was trying to get to, there it is over here. So we can start this one. We got about 5 minutes left. So this one says the only other control that needs to be added to the order form is a pull down menu for selecting the number of pizzas to have delivered. So insert a select menu element with the option to order between 1 and 6 pizzas. So we will do, oops, just that part. Oops. So this one is going to go toppings. We didn't do, is it toppings that this goes? Option.
Topping is a check menu.
Oh, this is the right menu? Okay, so
Topping
choose,
is a check menu. You put a,
oh, wait a minute. The check boxes. Okay, so that's what, so this is the one that we're doing right now, right?
yes.
So where does it go? How many pizzas? It goes after how many pizzas?
It goes up
So where's that down here?
down
Oh, there it is. Okay. So this one is going to go here. Select name. There's option 1, and then you've got to make several other options. So we're going to put this paragraph down here, I believe. So let's go back. We want 6 options, it said, right? So we're going to say select name, pizza, size equals 1, option 1. So I'm going to have an option 2 and an option 3. Option 4. And option 5. And option 6. Okay, and then that should be the end of the of the options, right? And then the end of the select and then the P. Okay, so then we have to have a cancel select. And I should have already had, yeah, there's the cancel paragraph. So this, I like it better over here. Let me delete this line. Okay, so now if we refresh, how many pizzas, and then you have a drop down and they can pick. So that's what should be that one. Okay, so the next ones that you'll do the, yeah, the field select, field set will be 9-4, I think. Yeah, 9. Oh, you're going to do labels, field set and legend. And that's 9-4, labels and field sets. And then the last part will be styling, and they don't have you do anything with that. So that'll be the last part. So we almost did all of 9. So if you want to submit after you do 4, then you can do that. And then you can go through the test yourself, because that's what will be, something like that is what will be on the midterm. All right, so next time, so you're to put in, if you haven't put in 7, and then I'll make a submit box for 8 and 9, okay? Because 7 was from last time, so that box is there. And then 8 and 9 you'll post, and then next class period we'll do 10, and we'll also review for the test. Will that be the 3rd? I think that'll be the 3rd. Yeah. Okay, so Lainey, are you okay then? Because I'm gonna end the Zoom. I think she went off anyway, because she couldn't see what was going on. All right, so any other questions? Oh, no, I haven't put it, but I'll do that right now. I'll go put the box out there so y'all can do that. Okay.